So getting back into credential access here, I know we've covered credential access a few times on the last TRLs, but specifically we have a couple of new things that we want to throw in here. Um, so I think we're all familiar with general credential access, the was it the MITRE framework? I forget the exact number for it, but anyways, it applies to basically how cybercriminals get access to your credentials, and one of those ways is they do it through information stealers. So information stealers are very popular right now. We've seen them used in the Uber hack. We've seen them used across the FIFA World Cup. We haven't really seen them used too much in the Russian-Ukrainian war, but these are very, very popular services. So specifically here we have Raccoon Stealer. So this is slash was
Yeah.
a very popular information stealer. Now we'll cover why it was a little bit later, but this was one of the most notorious information stealers out there in the market. It was very easy to get a hold of. You simply went onto the XSS forum and you could find the user. It cost what is $150 for 7 days, $275 for a month, $50 for additional build outs with unique tags, specifically things that you're looking for on people's systems. Uh, but I wanted to kind of draw a note here as far as Raccoon Stealer. Raccoon Stealer had some issues right around when the war started. They claimed they lost one of their main programmers, one of the core developers to the war that had allegedly died. They went dark and then they came back with Raccoon Stealer 2.0. And I'll save the better part for last. But they come, they gone, they come, they gone. They're gone. But yeah, all that information that's actually harvested from Raccoon Stealer or Redline or any of these other very popular information stealers out there end up on markets like Russian market, right? So we've covered this before. It's a very simple marketplace. It's a pay to play, so you actually have to buy access to become a member there. But once you get in there, you can purchase what they call logs for $10, right? And you can specify the logs by different types of stealers, regions, or you can specifically dive down into a target with their domain. Now, once you buy a log, you're going to find that there's a lot of information in there. Specifically, you're going to see the user's URL, username, and passwords that they're going to for every website. You're going to get a list of their system information and programs that are installed on their actual computer. You're also going to get autofill information from the browsers, cookies from the browsers, domains detected, installed software, like I said, password, processing list. It's pretty detailed for $10 for each victim. And this is kind of how they get from Lapsus targeted Uber is a threat actor went onto Russian marketplace. They bought one simple credential, and then they launched an MFA exhaustion attack against the contractor, the third-party contractor. Were able to get access, and they got access to the VPN, and everything was over from there. But this is an example that comes into the logs. If you want to find out more about these information stealers and actually the impacts that they have downrange as far as like ransomware attacks, I highly advise you all to check out this new webinar that we just did with Cyber Six Skill. Cyber Six Skill is an amazing intelligence platform, but specifically Dove Learner, their security researcher from Six Skill, dives into the most popular information stealers. He covers the difference in between IABs, initial access brokers, and WAMs, wholesale access markets. So for example, Russian market is a wholesale access marketplace. And then they go even further into looking at the connections between WAMs and ransomware attacks. So they've actually been able to find correlations between ransomware attacks and the credentials that were sold prior to definitely a webinar worth seeing. I think it's like only about 45 minutes.
And think about this scenario. What happened in 2020 and 2021? Corona happened, right? People had to work
Right.
from home. Some people got a laptop back home. Some people didn't get any device back home, but organizations started to put out cloud services. So and people could use their own PC to connect to the cloud. So when you connect your PC to the cloud, what you do, you log in that cloud. You can save your credentials. Okay, when you save your credentials, you have an info stealer. Well, he logs the URL and the credentials that were saved. You might say, okay, I don't save my credentials. All is fine and dandy, and I have multi-factor authentication, so you cannot hack me. Well, I wrote an article actually a year ago on pass the cookie. Um, One of the techniques and what happens when you log in to your cloud environment. you receive a token that is kept on your browser so that the next time you click on something, you don't have to authenticate yourself. Otherwise, on each click on each connection, you would have to re-authenticate yourself. So what happens is once you authenticate, you get a session ID or a token, and that token is used to identify you as you go through the website. Now, some of those tokens never change. It's a bad implementation. I know they should change every couple seconds to make it more secure, but some of them might be persistent. And some of those tokens are valid for a longer time because when I go offline and I come back tomorrow in the morning and I go to my office.com, I get access without authenticating. Now, where does that information come from? Comes from your cookie. And that cookie is also stolen by those info stealers. So even if you have multi-factor authentication and you don't save your password, having that cookie exposed there and having somebody who gets access to it timely can leverage that cookie to break into your session and then move lateral from there. And that's why those initial access brokers have been so successful in the last several months or years. Those initial access brokers have broken into several organizations, then dropped crypto lockers, and yeah, the rest is history. You're under ransomware attack, and that's how it happened. So that was fueled by the work from home and also having people put more applications in the cloud and not taking the time to secure them always. This is one of those important things, and now we see the results of that, which is those credential access, those wholesale access markets in the underground that are selling just for $10 whole records with information with the name of the company. So you know if you target a specific company, you go to that wholesale access marking, type in the name, you see all the records, and then you buy them for a couple of bucks. Then you start to test them. That's what initial access brokers do. And sometimes they don't even target an organization. They just buy a bunch of them and they start testing widely. And if they hit one, okay, yay, happy. Like police here, the local police in Zweinaarde, they were
Oh yeah.
Ragnar Locker got in there. They got lots of sensitive information stolen. They were in time to take out the server before the encryption process happened, but they were already a couple of days in there because they were able to exfiltrate information. So you have to know that ransomware operators, they're not just about encrypting your information. They come into your network. The first thing they do is try to take as much information from the network as possible. Gather sensitive information. What happened with Medibank? What happened with this police in Zwijndrecht? Is there that's sensitive information that they stole. So first they exfiltrate that information. After exfiltrating, they encrypt. Why do they exfiltrate? Well, it's easy. When they do only encryption, some people figured out that a good backup can restore a network faster than a decryption key. So why would I pay the guys if I have a good backup? So I invest in a good backup system. I'm all covered. And that's why they invented the second level of extortion, which is, well, if you don't want to pay for the encryption key, maybe you will pay for me not leaking and making public the most sensitive information that I've stolen from you. So that's the second. And then you have the third extortion, and that's how we come to the triple extortion. If you don't want to pay and you don't care about the information that was exfiltrated, they will do DDoS attacks to bring you back to the negotiation table. As Daniel said, if you have offsite backups that you pull in through the internet, well, if you're under DDoS attack, you're not going to restore a lot, are you? And also it puts pressure, it makes it more public. That's also the reason why those ransomware operators created those underground websites, what they call journalists' websites. So they have their onion websites, and whenever there's a leak, they post it on that website, and journalists are scamming, are just scanning all the websites. And whenever there's a new post, well, they bring it to an article, say, hey, it looks like this company has been attacked. And that company that wanted to keep it under covers and handle that incident in their way now suddenly is exposed in the media, gets journalists asking questions, the government coming on top of that, authorities coming in. Everybody's is looking at you, so that puts a big amount of pressure on that organization. So everything that they do in ransomware, it's all for a reason. And it all starts and circulates around that access, credential access. So that's the importance. So I would advise you to look at this webinar. It's this really good webinar. Uh, Dov did the correlation in his research between those initial access brokers and the WAMs that they leverage and actual big ransomware attacks. And it seems that a lot of those leaked credentials actually resulted in a successful ransomware extortion. Um, so very
Yeah,
important.
credential access is a really big problem, as you said, like
Hmm.
because of the COVID and everything. And the worst part about it is that, the blood's in the water now. Everybody knows that information stealers are the way to go, and they're becoming quite the popular tool out there.
Oh yeah, they are.